Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. Benjamin Netanyahu has visited the United States, gave a speech on Wednesday to Congress, a fiery speech from what I'm reading the AP News, basically saying that, they're going to win this war, absolute victory over Hamas. The normal talking points that you hear from him and his far-right cabinet. Vice President Harris had meetings with Netanyahu, and she was urging him to reach a ceasefire deal soon with Hamas so that the remaining hostages held by the militants in Gaza can be returned home, as well as, pointing out the awful images for the last 9 months of watching the civilians and children and women suffering the effects of this war, as well as starvation and other neglect, because aid can't get in to reach them. And emphasize that there's a dire humanitarian situation there. It's similar rhetoric to what Joe Biden has thrown out there to Netanyahu, but she's more forceful with her rhetoric. So I'm curious. I want to read on the energy around Netanyahu's U.S. visit, and then I want to read on his opinion of Biden, and then his opinion, compare it to his opinion of Harris. Okay? And maybe I'll do a challenge reading on that one with one key difference that Netanyahu sees and how he views that. Okay? So, again, entertainment purposes only. I'm just some random dude reading tarot cards on the internet. What do I know? But let's look at Netanyahu's in his speech in Congress. Again, entertainment purposes only. We have the Chariot. So, foundation of the reading is the Chariot, major arcana. Things moving forward. I would not say it's reversed. I would not say things are out of control. I think they're very much in control, and Netanyahu's the one in control of it. He wants to grind Hamas to powder, which kind of is a fool's errand, because you're just creating more problems in the future. But that's not he's not worried about the future, he's worried about now. What are we going to cross with? The Moon card. Here's the thing. For Netanyahu, his stated goal of getting rid of all of Hamas, while it's an easy end goal, because when you've reached it, the problem is you can never reach it. How do you know you've killed all the Hamas members? I mean, it's not like there's a list, and you just check them off like you're collecting baseball cards, and you want the whole SF Giants team roster, and there's 26 cards, and you just have to check them off on the checklist to make sure you've got them all. That's not happening. So even though he's stated what the goal is, how's he going to get there? Anybody's guess. And he doesn't even know himself, because it's kind of a nebulous, despite the fact, get rid of all of them, that's great. Well, how do you know that if you got rid of all of them on Monday, there aren't two of them on Tuesday? Two people joined up. Underneath all the Devil card, it's just, all these major arcana here. He is really low energy with this. This is just anger and fury and racism and all the low energy, anti-Christ-like energy that's going on with Netanyahu and his policy. And when I say anti-Christ, I mean against the teachings of Christ. Love, acceptance, tolerance, being of service to others, helping the stranger, helping the foreigner, helping the lesser of your brothers, that sort of thing. Inclusion. It's just everything is against it. It's all fear and ego based. All these major arcana here too. Yeah, his visit to the United States wasn't to. It was a flex, for lack of a better description. It was to yell at Congress to show that he's not changing. The United States needs a change, not him. And so, as you can imagine, the folks on the right ate it all up, and the folks on the left are just, Israel's a valuable ally, but at the same time, the United States from 2017 through 2020 was a valuable ally, but they were being led by somebody who is crazy and evil. And, which one do you believe? Do you believe that Israel's still good, or are they going to follow the crazy evil leader? That's kind of what I'm going on about. In the past, you got the temperance card. The U.S. has been patient with Israel. They've been negotiating with Israel. They've been negotiating with Hamas and with the Palestinians, trying to get this peace accord through there. The problem is that all of this goes through Netanyahu, and Netanyahu's only going to okay it if his finger can be on the scale and it's heavily weighted towards Israel's favor. When you pour in these cups, the whole idea is to blend them and, effectively have the cups be roughly equal. He doesn't want equal cups. He wants all the power and all the influence. He's unreasonable. Overarching energy is the Ten of Wands. Because of this position, it makes peace talks untenable. It makes getting the sides to all agree on something an incredible burden, because Israel does not feel the need to give. They take. Netanyahu and his government, they take. And they take and they take. And they will not compromise until they've taken everything that they can get their hands on. The lesson to be learned is justice. There's already war crime charges that I believe they want to put against Netanyahu if they haven't already done so. Hamas's rocket attack against the Israeli civilians was unjust. Starving out civilians is also unjust. There's a lot of injustice going around here for everyone on this one. Even Vice President Harris made the comment that this is not a binary situation that's going on with Israel. And I've said the same thing. There is so much gray in this one. It's almost in some ways there are no good guys. It's just bad guys. Look at all these major arcana, though. Good Lord. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. 6. The outcome is the strength card. Netanyahu came out here trying to project strength. And I think he feels like he was successful in doing that. The United States, especially with Kamala Harris, is trying to project strength back. But they don't have the leverage that they need right now with Israel. I don't know what they will need to get the leverage that they need over Israel, but I don't think they got it there. I think Netanyahu came across to show his strength to the Israeli people, to his enemies, to the world, and I think he was successful in that. I'm not saying I support that. I'm just saying that's the vibe I'm getting from it. Okay. Now, I want to do a little bit of a challenge reading. A challenge reading, for those unfamiliar, is I will, from the same deck, I'm going to throw a signifier card and ask, I'll ask, what does Netanyahu think of Joe Biden? What does Netanyahu think of Kamala Harris? And I'll have a central card, which would be like a focal point between the two of them. And then we'll have qualifier cards or signifier cards, and then the clarifications underneath it, and an underlying energy too. Okay, we'll explain as it go down. So, asking about Netanyahu, what's maybe like the biggest issue that Netanyahu is facing with the United States? What's that big issue, and how does he feel about Biden? How does he feel about Harris? So basically, He knows that Biden is the current president, Harris is the upcoming president. There's something he'll probably have to negotiate with the two of them and his opinions on the two of them as this thing comes up. Not explaining it particularly well, but you'll see as I get there. Okay, so what's the signifier card? The Chariot. It's about his war plans going through. He's prosecuting this war, but we're going to find out is what his opinion of Joe Biden, what's his opinion of Kamala Harris, and what's underneath there is you reaping what you sow, as well as will the U.S. keep funding me? Will the money keep coming in? There's also information, this could be things value, intelligence and information that's being exchanged. But this is what he's solely focused on this. There's nothing else in his world. Okay, so for Joe Biden, the Lover's card. I think he likes Joe Biden. Through years of Joe Biden being the vice president and a senator and such, they have a long relationship going back. Probably likes Joe Biden. Even though, they don't always disagree, they don't always agree on things, he might actually like him, or he feels like, he can get over on the old man, that type of thing here. The Hierophant, okay, they've got government, look at these major arcana. The World card, ooh, look at that. This could be Joe Biden's, his world politics and having foreign policy backgrounds on it. Knight of Pentacles. So what does he think about Joe Biden? He has a relationship with Biden. Does he think he can manipulate him? Maybe. But they have an understanding. I think, again, Biden, he knows Biden has good foreign policy, but it's also Biden's at the end of his term. Yeah, because you got the government here. Biden's been in politics forever, but his political influence is about to wane here. And so the Knight of Pentacles can be a card of mercenary type thing. The U.S. has offered Israel a lot of things, a lot of support and government support, trying to get a cessation of arms. But generally, I think these are rather positive cards. The only thing I have concern with is, does this World card mean that he knows his thing is coming to the end with Biden, and maybe he's got one more, either he's going to try and get as much as he can out of Biden because he thinks things will be harder with Harris, or maybe he'll throw Biden a bone. Let's see what we've got for Kamala Harris. Then we got the King of Wands. I usually see her as the Queen of Wands, but it's this fire energy that's coming in. She's a much more forceful person than Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a more agreeable person who tries to find consensus. Kamala Harris is a little bit different in that one, a bit more fiery. Okay, so we have the Two of Swords, Three of Wands, and the King of Swords. Oh my. Okay, so what does he think about her? Very much going to be in charge, and she's coming. Just like Joe Biden's political world's coming to an end, hers is the future. And he needs to figure out what his relationship with her is going to be like, or what is her relationship going to be like with him. He doesn't know. This one's a little less clear. He's more familiar with Biden because he's been in government forever. But here we go. Underneath that is King of Swords. She is sharp, and she's very matter of fact, very blunt speaking. No, that doesn't mean she's not tactful, but she can be very cutting in her words. She's not warm. She's not warm and fuzzy. She's not soft, and she's sharp at the edges. This is somebody who, Netanyahu's not going to be getting big hugs and air kisses on either side of the cheek type of person. She's going to be a lot more business with him. And it's a very different dynamic. Whereas, good old boys club, this is what we've been doing. And where Biden's like a known thing and a familiar entity, she's different. She's a lot sharper, more tactical, and just colder as far as that goes. And his biggest concern is going to be, will I continue to get funding? And it's going to be different with her. She might actually force some changes in his prosecution of that war. I figure that the prosecutor might get a different prosecution result than Joe Biden gets, because she's just a different person. And where, I'm not saying that Joe Biden could be schmoozed, but he doesn't have that history with her. Okay, so here's the question. Will Netanyahu and Israel, I thought it would have happened already, but will Netanyahu and Israel have a ceasefire with Hamas while Joe Biden is President of the United States? Will Netanyahu agree to a ceasefire with Hamas while Joe Biden is President of the United States? Again, this has everything to do with funding. Come on down. Four-corner. Yeah, as I mentioned, everything has to do with funding. This could be a yes card, especially as the winter time comes by, and that would make sense, right? You don't want these people to go through another winter being left out in the cold, because if they're out in the cold, I think the funding is going to freeze up too. Ace of Wands, there's going to be a big push. Seven of Swords, getting away with it. It's just like Israel holding on as long as possible before doing something. Backroom negotiations between the United States and Israel. There's, there might be a ceasefire, but there's other negotiations going on, either with the ceasefire or incentives for Israel to get this thing done. Underneath it all is the Knight of Cups, offering that peace cup here. Yeah, I think it will happen in Biden's tenure as winter's coming on, when the cold weather's coming. Basically pleading for a ceasefire to get aid to people so they're not, in the rough in the wintertime here. This could be the hostages being taken and trying to get those hostages back, first and foremost. But this could also be, Netanyahu, again, with that Nine of Cups energy, just trying to get everything he wants, trying to get everything he can, whatever that is. But there's going to be a big push to do this in negotiations behind the scenes. This could be like there's a ceasefire, but there are special forces or the Mossad or something like that is out there still doing stuff in there, but they're not doing it for the Israeli army. So like intelligence is still trying to assassinate Hamas leaders, even though there's a ceasefire going on. There's going to be some sneakiness. But will there be one? I think there will be. I think there will be, just because there's going to be international pressure to stop this, to stop the fighting in the wintertime, so that there's not even a bigger humanitarian crisis than there already is. Thank you very much for suggesting this on the community page. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it insightful. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.